The room was dim, the faint light of a single bulb flickering above like a trembling candle.
A little girl, no older than 7, sat curled up in the corner, clutching her tiny hand against her chest. Her face was streaked with tears, her breath uneven. "Please, my hand hurts so much," she whispered, her voice weak, trembling, almost lost in the silence. Nobody seemed to care, at least not the people who should have. The adults in the house, too busy with their own frustrations, had let their anger out on the weakest soul in the room. And this little girl had become the victim of their cruelty. The sting of pain from a harsh strike still pulsed through her hand, making every movement unbearable. What she didn't know was that her life was about to change forever. At that very moment, the front doors of the mansion burst open with a force that rattled the walls. A tall figure stormed inside. Her father, a man the world knew as a millionaire, but who to her had always been more of a shadow than a presence. His eyes burned with fury, his jaw clenched tight as he saw his daughter trembling on the floor. "Who did this to her?" he thundered, his voice shaking the walls. The entire house fell silent. The little girl's sobs broke the heavy air, and his heart shattered at the sound. He rushed forward, kneeling beside her, gently taking her injured hand into his own.
"Sweetheart, I'm here now. Daddy's here. No one is going to hurt you again."
The story unfolds with depth from here. Her father, Daniel, was a self-made millionaire, a man who had risen from poverty and carved his name into the business world. But with success came distance. Long hours in offices, endless meetings, and travels around the globe meant he was hardly home. He thought money could provide everything she needed: safety, education, comfort. But in his absence, others in the household had mistreated her. This night, seeing her in pain, made him realize the greatest mistake of his life. He had left his little girl alone in a world that should have been kind to her but wasn't.
The first challenge they faced was trust.
The little girl, Emily, flinched even when he tried to touch her gently. She had grown used to fear, and it broke him to realize she didn't see him as her protector but as another distant figure. Winning her trust wasn't about money, it was about time, presence, and love.
So Daniel did something no one expected.
He canceled meetings, postponed deals worth millions, and chose to stay by Emily's side.
Days turned into weeks.
He sat with her at night when nightmares woke her. He held her little hand when she was scared. He made her breakfast himself, fumbling with the frying pan and laughing when the eggs burned. Slowly, Emily's fear began to fade, replaced by the smallest spark of a smile whenever she saw him.
But their journey wasn't easy. Relatives who had once controlled the mansion weren't happy.
Some mocked him, saying he was wasting his time by being so emotional. His business partners warned that stepping away from work could cost him his empire.
The media even speculated that the great Daniel Williams was losing his edge. Yet Daniel stood firm.
"I can build 100 empires again," he said one night to his board members, "but I cannot rebuild my daughter's childhood if I lose it now." The second challenge was healing Emily's hand. The injury was more severe than expected, small bones were fractured. Doctors treated her, but the healing would take time. She hated the heavy cast, cried when it hurt, and often asked, "Daddy, will I ever be able to draw again?" because drawing was her escape, her little world of colors and dreams.
Daniel promised her she would.
True to his word, he found the best doctors and therapists, but more importantly, he sat with her during every session. He celebrated every small progress: the first time she held a crayon again, the first time she sketched a shaky flower.
Those moments mattered more to him than any business deal ever had.
The third challenge was emotional scars.
Emily feared being left again. Each time Daniel left the room, she would ask, "You'll come back, right?" And every time, he knelt down, looked into her eyes, and said, "Always. Daddy will always come back."
Over time, his actions proved his words true. Slowly, she began to believe him. One evening, months later, Emily walked into his office, her hand fully healed, holding a drawing. It was a picture of a little girl holding hands with her father under a bright sun. At the bottom, she had written in shaky letters, "My hero." Tears filled Daniel's eyes as he hugged her tight. In that moment, he knew he had found true wealth, not in bank accounts or business empires, but in the unconditional love of his daughter.
ending with a powerful message for viewers. Life had tested them with pain, loneliness, and fear. But together, father and daughter rebuilt their bond with love, trust, and presence. And through their journey, they showed the world that no success is greater than being there for the ones who need you the most. So if you're watching this today, remember, be kind always. You never know what silent battles someone is fighting, and sometimes, even a small act of love can change a life forever. I would love to hear your thoughts. What touched your heart the most in Emily's story? Please share in the comments below. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join our community at Be Kind Always. Because together, we can spread kindness, one story at a time.